Okay, welcome to episode 14 of Abundance. Now I'm going to revisit my very first episode, which I titled Make It Rain. So, um, and this whole series is about abundance because right now we have nothing but scarcity for, you know, the good life is like so impossible these days because of the upside down world we live in. We have abundance of all the wrong things. I mean, just a list I made quickly. We have abundance of lies, deceit, manipulation, propaganda, corruption, greed, loneliness, isolation, disconnection from nature, hate of nature and the natural world, cruelty, perversion, depression, despair, poison. Medicine is like poisonous now. Food, water is filled with poisons. We have abundance of screens, entertainment, electronics. We're bathed in an abundance of signals and electromagnetic waves and 5G, 6G, all this stuff. All the stuff that's anti life, that is not conducive to the good life, right? So, this series is about abundance, how we can have it, we can bring it back, how we did have it in the past, in the previous civilization. Now, on your screen here is a picture from Wikipedia about the water cycle. And I'm talking about make uh, theoretically making it rain, okay? And so when I'm talking about that, we're going to start. The most obvious place to start doing this would be off the ocean. And what I'm talking about is using simple technology that already exists in the form of heliostats to boil water, turn water, large amounts of water into water vapor. The water vapor is going to come up off the catchment basin or whatever we create off the ocean, right? Not I'm not talking about beaming some death ray into the ocean water. I'm talking about creating some like reflecting very large reflecting pool off the ocean, either in circular design or rectangular design, that is lined with heliostats around it, and it inside it will contain millions of gallons of water. Um, and of course, you need vast amounts of energy to heat that water up to a boiling temperature. But once it's up to boiling, it will start evaporating very quickly. So in one sunny day, you would be able to evaporate millions of gallons of water. Um, and you say like, no, that's like too much energy. But no, we have examples of this in use. Let me just check the video real quick. Okay, we have examples of the power of this technology, and it's very simple because well, let's look. There's this idea of a solar furnace using heliostats. This one's Uzbekistan. Where was the other one I had? I already. And the heliostat design is very simple. What it is just a set of mirrors that track the sun and reflect the sunlight at one location constantly. So you're concentrating sunlight at one location so that it heats up, right? The energy keeps accruing against that surface, and so if it's water, we're injecting the energy, the heat into the water. Um, the solar disk, I'll talk about that in a minute because this I think is like a remnant. This solar disk and this color. I mean, I guess it if you if you look through the sun at the sun with some sort of some filter, you'll get this color. But this color is also reminds me of the color of molten salt that I've seen. Um, the solar discs, these are just some an image search, because so many of the Egyptian deities, they had the solar disc shown, and like iconography of the solar disc above their heads, right? Um, okay, let me heliostats. And we had we have a few examples where today we're using the heliostat arrays to concentrate two central towers where they have molten salt, and then the molten salt goes through some heat exchanger, boils water into steam, and that turns a turbine, generates electricity, right? So um, these central complexes are a waste, in my opinion, because it's all about um, you paying to play. You have to pay the provider, get everything off of the grid type of stuff. So what I'm talking about with in this episode is just using the technology not for making electricity, but just boiling water to make it rain, to turn arable land that may not get enough water to grow certain crops to increase it, or turn dry desert into actual arable land that can be tilled and planted and crops grown, food, right? Because the abundance, we need to start with the basics: food, water, shelter. Okay, so water is the key to everything, right? Plants and then the animals. Okay, the solar furnace. Where was the one? Yeah, this one in there's a I talked about this before, a experimental solar furnace in France, and they're actually getting the temperatures very high to a central point. Now I saw different numbers, but this one says 3,500 degrees Celsius over 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit on a central spot, and there's a lot of mirrors involved. You can hear on the let's see, can I zoom in? Well, you can see it here on the right. I'm not in the way, but that's the back of the heliostats, and then they're being focused on this big vertical parabolic mirror, and then they're concentrated on a small area, right? This would be like a death ray type of thing, and this is in an area of the world, France, where there's or area of France where there's like many sunny days out of the year. Now, okay, let me show you a video from this. Let me get out of the way here. This is in French, so I'm not going to play the audio, but they're showing like the magnifying glass effect. They're also talking about Archimedes here. This is, like I said, it's in French. Archimedes was supposedly used concentrating mirrors to burn, Roman ships that were attacking their lands. And Archimedes also, there's records of using this sunlight to like cauterize wounds, like the heat. Um, I didn't look up this one, but it's fascinating because they're saying that this chemist, look at the size of these magnifying glasses here, and this is a liquid lens, so magnifying the sunlight not through glass, but some sort of liquid. And then he's manages to melt platinum, which is one of the hottest. The melting point of platinum is very high. It's I didn't look it up, but it's something like 2,000 degrees Celsius, very hot, needed to melt that. So now they're using. Let me mute. They're using this prototype solar oven and different technology to test out generating electricity. Um, but the uses, there's so many uses, because not what I'm talking about may sound like science fiction, but it's simple because we're just there's no added physics or exotic types of technology or materials involved. When we need more heat, we add more mirrors. Okay, now she's just showing a parabolic mirror burning some wood, starting the flame. Fire, the fire rises, and um, let's this is now where they're actually at the focal point, and this is they're saying this furnace is reaching up to 3,000 degrees Celsius. So many industrial uses for this, in smelting metals, in creating quicklime, burning limestone and turning it into quicklime for building materials to make your own amazing stone structures and mortars and that last for a very long time, like Roman concrete was makes heavy use of quicklime. Uh, Melting sand into glass, it requires very high temperatures, something like 1800 degrees Celsius. That's well within reach. That magnifying glass device they showed at the beginning from 1800s, that got up to melting platinum like 2000 degrees Celsius. So, and it a steel plate of 1 centimeter in thickness is going to melt in 30 seconds in this furnace heat. And this is free energy from the sun. I mean, all you need is the array and the infrastructure of the mirrors, and then once there, no other energy input is needed except a sunny day. Free clean energy, free clean industrial use. So and then they got the mirror. Okay, this shit just show. Oh, here, this is what I want to show. These are large arrays of 60. Oh, in total, they have 63 heliostats, but these are however many mirrors are involved in that. And these don't look like they're a parabolic type of mirror. That's why they have that large vertical parabolic at the end. But these are each one of these is tracking on the sun and sending reflecting the sunlight into that parabolic, and then that concentrates it more. And they constantly talk about, oh, we're going to generate electricity when there's so many other uses for this tech. Okay, and okay, that's all for that one. But yeah, let me show you now. So like let's see, here's the Lincoln Memorial Pool, and this is a good example because this holds something like 4 million gallons of water. And this was originally or somewhere, let's see, turn back on the video so you can see my ugly mug. But the reason I show my face is because it's communication. Body language and facial expressions is a big part of communication. But anyway, not just voice. Voice is like 30-40% of it, but the rest is facial expressions and body language. And the actual like words, like if you just saw words on the page, you're only communicating about 10% of the content uh, related to the other forms. So somewhere here, title. Was a, oh, maybe it's a different area where a tidal basin that they were getting filled with water from the ocean. But this is a very large area, of course, right? But if this was lined around the edges with heliostats, right, it would be a good physics experiment. Like, how many mirrors, how many heliostats on a sunny day? How long would it take to get this entire mass of water up to a boiling temperature, 100, a little over 100 degrees Celsius? So it would continually boil off. And as you're boiling it off, right, like this is why ocean water, the salinity, the level of salt in the water keeps going up and up because you're boiling it down, concentrating the salts. So eventually you're going to reach a point where you literally have a pool of molten salt, which will store a mass amount of heat overnight, right? And then it'll just, the you'll be able to reach like this continuous cycle. And so like how much are we talking about, like how much water has to be boiled, right? So this is a rainfall calculator. Let's see, so we want, let's say our catchment area, this is the area that we want the rain to fall on. Now I'm just going to pick 1 square mile, okay? And then the depth, we're going to say a half an inch of rain. Okay. And so according to this, we're going to need, let's call it 8.7 million gallons of water. It's a huge amount, right? But when we're talking about how much the average rainfall in a part of the world, right? Like some dry area, let's put on, where's the satellite? It's a satellite. Yeah, you can see here in the southwest, right? Like here, like let's just pick this Baja Peninsula. Let's pick the ocean here. This is dry. Oh, I know this is Mexico. Anyone use this technology. You're in Saudi Arabia, you're in Iraq, Iran, you're in China. You want to green the desert. Like, do the math. I know it's possible. I know it was done, and I'm 100% sure it was done, right? Because there's not, it's not, it's not difficult. You just need more mirrors, okay? So say you pick this area, right? And I don't see, this is another calculation I don't know, is like you're steaming all this water up, right? You're boiling you're boiling all this water up into the atmosphere, but it's coming up from ground level. So I don't know like how far it would travel before it actually would start to condense down and start to rain. Um, so I'm picking 1 square mile as an example of for half an inch, right, of rain. Now expand this out. What is a square mile? That's it's square kilometers, 2.6 square kilometers. But so if we go up to 10 miles, we're going to need 86 million, call it 87 million gallons of water. Okay, that's a huge number, of course. But we're doing, we so to turn go from 0 to like 50 inches of rain on average per year, right? We'd have to do this 100 times. We'd have to generate that much steam, water vapor 100 times throughout the year. However many days, 3 days apart. Every 3 days, we're going to need to to generate to turn 87 million gallons of water into water vapor. And you're like, oh, it's like, what about when it's cloudy and things like that? Theoretically, would be a few ways around that. In my last two episodes, I talked about airships. And so mounting a parabolic mirror that its only function is to disperse the clouds, to heat up the atmosphere where clouds are coming into over the clouds are coming in and they're going to block the sunlight on your catchment basin, your reflecting pool, your water vapor creation engine with all the heliostats. You could theoretically have an airship that would that would work to just heat up and disperse the clouds that would come over your area so that you are in sunlight for your region, and you wouldn't care about getting rained on your area because you're the one producing the rain. So I know this is crazy, but look, if you want to dream about a better world, let's dream big. Okay. And okay, let me keep going here. Um now, the solar disk, well, the okay, this and the molten salt. Let's see. This is that. Let me look at molten salt because the colors are, where is it? Here, like this one. Yeah. So so here, like we have the oops, I can't zoom like there. Why can't I zoom in more? Oh well. But the color is similar. Like, anyway, I just wanted to show that the similar color. And because the sun, well, looking at the sun directly, it's never this red of a color. Maybe if you looked at it through some sort of filter, um I don't know. But now let's so this is my claim, my theory, and it's absolutely possible. I don't need to like do a ton of math to prove it to you, because number one, we have these solar furnaces that reach unbelievably high temperatures. So, and then number two, the calculation is just your amount of water, the amount of joules of energy, heat needed to hit the water, to enter the water, and then we need more. We add more mirrors. So it's not. It, I'm not good or great at physics, and if I did have these physics formulas to show you, it'd probably, unless you're a turbo nerd, you'd find it pretty like boring and like, anyway, right? So you're like, I don't get that, but it just makes sense that this is going to scale in a linear fashion. More heat, more mirrors. And so, yes, we can do it. I'm 100% sure. And then if you look at this image of the solar disk, yeah, let me talk about this just briefly because there's all this in ancient Egypt. There's all this snake motif, like the you might hear my dogs in the background. The snake motif, where you with snake cobra images on the Egyptian hats and things like that, and all these different images. Now, in my opinion, let's see, do I have that? I know I have that up somewhere. Right. The snake, this is Wi-Fi symbols, the Wi-Fi signal on your phone. This represents waves, not waves of water, but waves of electromagnetic energy going through the air, right? You're getting the signal of coming from the tower. More bars of signal, the better, the more you're getting, right? The better the reception of those electromagnetic waves, right? So in ancient times, we were much more connected in nature, in love with nature, because it's all nature is the natural world. It's God's creation, and so it deserves and is worthy of love and a sense of awe and respect, and you call it worship. So the snake, the idea of the snake is like, oh, the snake was evil. Yeah, but that's coming from our the biblical story. And in the Bible story about the snake entering the garden, that's where our story starts. What was the garden before this idea of an evil snake? We had snakes in the garden. We had, they're very beneficial creatures to the natural world. Um, they all everything has a function and purpose that works together in an ecological symbiosis, you know. And what I'm getting at is the snake moving across like the sand, right? It creates a wave pattern. So if you were, this is in my mind is a ancient symbol representation of electromagnetic waves. We had yeah, this one to kind of make my point. This is the Dendara light, which is well, that's what they theorize this is a symbol of. But we have a snake in there because the waveform it is representing electromagnetic waves, in my opinion. Okay, and like I said, the whole idea that the snake is evil. This is like now it is this idea, but what before the fallen ones came and before Satan ruined, gave the apple, told Eve to eat the apple, and all this myth, right? Before that happened, we didn't have this idea that oh, the snake is evil, right? It was just another creature in the garden. Okay, now let's see. This was the heliostat arrays. Yeah, you can see like all the sunlight coming up here to the center, like it's dusty. Kind of looks really cool. And then oh, okay. So this is yeah, let me switch gears a little bit because there's another way to heat up water, which by burning, right? We could burn we could like in have a pipe down there or somewhere burning propane gas, oh, massive amounts of propane to heat up and boil the water and stuff. I mean, no, that doesn't make sense. That's more poison. Um, but in a few episodes, many episodes, I've been talking about oxygen and hydrogen gases, right? And you can hear my dog. This is well, let me jump around here a little bit because it's kind of it's fun, it's wild. This is a test of the it's gonna be loud.
This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest.
So what they're showing here is from this Top Gear show 15 years ago that they were showing a test of the space shuttle rocket boosters, which are tanks of the thrusters are powered by the burning of two different mixing of the two tanks of gases, liquid gases. They have liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and they're and he, as he said, burning hydrogen. If you just burn straight hydrogen, it's going to burn with the oxygen in the air. But using electrolysis to using electricity to split water, you get both oxygen and hydrogen gases, and then you can recombine by burning them. And it's the cleanest in the world. You want to save the planet by having clean energy, by and having energy that is stored. It's like obtain hydrogen gas and pump it using steam engines and whatnot, pump it into tanks, into portable hydrogen tanks in liquid form. Because once it's under amount of pressure, it's going to stay in its liquid form, as far as I know. Anyway, let's see here. Now listen to this. What he describes.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine,
By the engine, right? By the water, by the burning of the oxygen and hydrogen gases.
is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you, it's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
So, oops, it clicked off. But you get the idea. It's absolutely it would be so amazing. And he even says it. They're like, oh, they're playing God, right? And this. Let's see, where is? Yeah, let's keep that up. Water cycle, but this idea that there's the word rain, RAIN, has a homophone, rain, REIGN, like the reign of a king. We're under the reign of the U.S. government, or in ancient times, King Atenkamen or whatever, Tutankhamun, under his reign, right? So I want to live under God's reign, and I mean that in both ways, right? Because there's this the there's an ancient idea or uh, religious thought or motif, I don't know, where you have the Mother Earth and God is masculine. He fertilizes the earth and all the life grows, right? And there's an abundance of life and love, compassion, empathy, communion with God, communion with nature. And so that is rainfall. That is rain. It's not like this. There's this idea with the obelisk, right? Like, well, let me go back to. Oh, no, tell me I closed that. Yeah, go back to the Washington Monument, right? Like the obelisk, people are like, there's always this like perverted thing because of the pornography today. Where, oh, it's a giant penis, and you're thinking of human semen, okay? But think about the God being universal, God providing and giving love to all the creatures of the earth. His seed would be water, would be rain, because it nourishes everything. It's going to provide everything we need. Anyway, um, and so this idea that, all this stuff with the Egyptian obelisks and their religion, there's evidence that this goes back into Sumerian and Assyrian cuneiform tablets, religious texts, that the fertility aspect of this was that when there was like storms and thunder, right? That was actually God like copulating and reaching with the Mother Earth and reaching an orgasm. And in that act, the result was his seed was released. His that would nourish all, would bring the life forth from the Mother Earth, and that's rain. Okay, it's not, it doesn't have to be this like like the perversion, like when we're just me mentioning it, like, oh, it's a giant penis. Everyone's, you have all this horrible stuff come into your mind because of the upside down world we're living in now. So anyway, if you're curious about that, well, another thing I'll say about when it comes to, I mentioned the Bible and stuff, and I don't, the issue I have with the Bible or with everything in our world today is that I truly believe everything we've been taught is a lie. I'm not saying there's no truth out there. There is truth. But the problem is what we've been given and programmed with, conditioned with, is all lies. And so I cannot have some faith in the words in the Bible, because there's truth in there, but there's also lies and half truths, and how you don't have the map. You don't know how everything was changed. So um no, I can't believe everything in there. And a lot of people will say like, "Oh, you got to go back to the original Greek, the original Hebrew." No, you go back further. Go back to the Sumerian text and clay tablets, cuneiform, that then was translated into the Greek, into the Hebrew. And there's a book that's been much repressed that I'm just going to show and mention, that I've read it and made a bunch of notes on it. It's quite fascinating. It's called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And this is where I first heard about the idea of this, the thunder god, rain being the seed released from God in the orgasm with Mother Earth, or copulation. Okay, so it's not, doesn't have to be all this dirty, perverted stuff that people think of, and that the reason they think that is because of, all the screens and porn and crap today. Okay, I'm digressing a little bit or off tangent, but I thought just, need to mention it. I absolutely believe in God and a supreme creator, and that, uh, but no, I don't believe in the Bible at all. So take that for what you will. Okay, so now when talking about this oxygen hydrogen, okay, so we had the space shuttle here. Um,
130 miles.
yeah, so this space shuttle test. Oh, something else he said in here just real quick. Oh, where was it? Yeah, here it is somewhere here, I think.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it writes itself. We need to like wake the dead in the sense that our world, like, it's everything's drying up, right? Like the data centers are sucking all this water. There's so much of the world that is in desert, right? Like we can green the desert 100%. And you're like, no, 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 it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it to create more land, more arable land. Or, and I'm using the example where, I'm talking about going from like 0 to 50 inches of rain. But, what if you're in some near the equator? You go from, and you're in an area that gets 50 inches of rain, and it's like subtropical, but now you're bumping up to 100 inches of rain, 150 inches of rain, and it gets super tropical. All the stuff you could grow, like, it's off the chart. And the mirror technology has been around for a long time, but let me talk more about the oxygen and hydrogen gases, because here you have something where when you're burning oxygen, hydrogen, it produces massive amounts of heat. Where is it? Here. The maximum temperature is about 2,800 degrees Celsius. That's if you have the pure oxygen, pure hydrogen gases, and burning those directly. Now, with just burning hydrogen with the atmosphere, and it burns with the oxygen's at a lower concentration in the atmosphere, right? But it burns there. um, that's only 2,100 degrees Celsius. Okay. So, and it's going to produce more water vapor, right? So, I had some, where was it? Is this it? Yeah, this was a question. How much water can you split into hydrogen, oxygen using electrolysis with 1 kilowatt of power? And so that means 1 kilowatt can split only 270 grams of water. That's not much. But this seems like a lot that it produces 350. Oh, this is an image I can't highlight. But here, that means that 1 kilowatt hour of electricity can split 270 grams of water and produce about 350 liters of hydrogen and 175 liters of oxygen gases. Okay, now the question then would be like, okay, now burning that, how much heat would that produce? And then how much water could you get? Say the water is at 20 degrees Celsius. Uh, how much hydrogen, oxygen gas burning would take that 20 degrees Celsius water up to boiling, 100, 101 degrees Celsius or whatever, right? It would be a good physics problem that I I didn't look up or know how to ask the right question. I'm not going to go into AI to ask it. I don't do that. Anyway, I haven't. But let me talk about this production of hydrogen oxygen gas, because we're going to get the heat, right? And then we're going to also get the burning it. We're going to get more water vapor, more that'll come down as rain, like that Top Gear guy. Oh, NASA's playing God. Yeah, let's play God. Let's make it rain. Oh no, you can't do that. Why? You got to you need permission. You're gonna ask permission for the power from the powers that be. Of course they. No, oh no, we need more studies. We need to make sure it's controlled and it's safe. Hydrogen gas. Remember the Hindenburg. Oh God. So this patent is from 1860, and I talked about this before, where the there is the title of the patent is called "Improved Method of Utilizing Atmospheric Electricity," and the atmosphere has natural. There is energy, electric potential in the atmosphere, but the atmosphere has very low conductivity, very low amperage, so you won't get like power watts from this. But the potential is 100 volts per meter in height. So you go from the negative ground to the positive air in height, and you get 100 volts per meter. So we go up 100. Yeah, we go up 100 meters, which is about 328 feet. We'd have 10,000 volts, but it would be very low watts. Like you wouldn't get shock or you wouldn't get killed from that because the amperage is very low. We go up 1,000 meters, 3,300 feet, we'd have 100,000 volts, right? And so um, this would be a very good physics problem that I don't know how to solve, because this patent to me is 100 proof that this technology existed. These power plants that produced electricity and hydrogen and oxygen gases absolutely existed in the previous antediluvian world, the 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 pre-flood world. Because here, okay, what in the patent, let me just find the text here because he actually says it. uh yes, being produced. So the wires enter a body of water at at or near the base of the apparatus and decompose the water so as to produce the hydrogen gas. They also will produce oxygen, but he's just mentioning that this patent and the devices shown described are using this atmospheric potential going into the ground, and whatever the mechanism is, they're going into water. Sorry, and they're applying the electricity directly into the water, and it's decomposing the water through electrolysis into the splitting the water molecule H2O into two hydrogen and oxygen gas molecules. And they don't say anything about like the wattage, because that would be the that would be the good physics problem to solve. But what they do say is that the invention is to form an electric pile of great power. So in that example where you go up 1,000 meters, if this actual the wires that they're using and stuff like that, if at the base you got 1 amp, that would be 100,000 watts continuously, and 24/7 continuously. Rain, sleet, snow, sunlight, daytime, nighttime, 24/7, 365 days a year. It'd be producing that much electricity. That's a what if, and I don't know what the amperage is. This would be a good physics problem. But they have two different descriptions of elevating the wires up into the atmosphere, or up from the ground level, right? And he also is saying that each one of these, they're going into water. Seawater, salt water would be probably the best, because uh, without it, you wouldn't have to add anything, and it would have a higher conductivity than like groundwater, like a river or a well. Um, you wouldn't do it probably in a. You'd have to, and then you'd have an array, a infrastructure to capture the gases coming off, getting them captured, and either going right into your evaporation reflecting pool, and boil and burning them right off to boil to create water vapor, right, to make it rain. But okay, so this first one, on the top, these plates, these were engraved copper plates that he had. He's using this cylindrical object is an aerostat. So they're creating hydrogen gas, and this is a hydrogen gas filled balloon, and it's covered with some sort of wire mesh. He doesn't say what type of wire it is, what metal. Is it copper? Is it gold? Because gold has very, very good electric conductivity characteristics. And you're like, oh no, you would never use gold. Well, same thing as the heliostat array. Once this is in place, it's going to be producing. It's a power plant. How many hundreds and millions of dollars do we spend now? We pay for power plants to be built, right? And so say this. Oh, you're going to need like $100 million worth of gold, and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to be producing mass amounts of renewable energy by in the form of this hydrogen and oxygen gas that we obtain from the seawater. And then we're going to be able to burn the oxygen hydrogen gas in many industrial uses. We could and or burn it to boil water to make steam, to from the actual burning of the gas and then the boiling of the water, like if you're applying the flame to water. But and then we're gonna make it rain. And so, oh, it's $100 million. Like, okay, it's gonna. My claim is that this is worth it. This is economically viable. This is worth the return on investment, because this patent, in my opinion, is lost technology, and this is what we had in the past. So he has an aerostat. If you're on a flat plane, you basically loft this balloon up, and it's tethered down with the wire that's bringing the electricity down, right? And then he also describes here these running up the side of a mountain. So if you're in a valley and then you have, oh, the mount like oh yeah, we're down in the valley, and then there's the peak of the mountain is 1,000 meters up, and we run our wires up. The same thing is going to happen. We're going to be able to harness that electric potential. So this to me is evidence of that. All right. And then like, oh well, and then if we capture the hydrogen and oxygen gases into storage tanks like bottles, of compressed liquid hydrogen and stuff like that, then that's the cleanest energy we can use to burn to power like steam engines and stuff like that needed for this whole assembly. And we don't need to burn anything actually for the steam engine. This was another patent I discovered where I was searching for the word heliostat, and this patent came up. And this is a patent for a boiler condenser steam engine. And you can see here, what's interesting about this is this almost looks like the corrugated metal roofs all over Europe and all over the world. Um, but the reason I saved this was that what they say here about this these boiling condensing engines is they all need a heliostat and reflector to concentrate the rays of the sun on the boiler. So, okay, you get the idea, I think. Okay, I'm running I'm running out of steam now because this gets me so excited. I mean, the possibilities, man. It's not rocket science. I know it's not because it's like we need more heat, we need more mirrors, we need to boil more water to create more rain, more I mean just add more heliostats and yeah, configure the tidal basin, the catch basin, to be fed from the ocean waters and keep a constant level, let's say, and eventually you'll have a massive pool of molten salt, which the stuff you can do with that would be a massive heat store, right? So yeah, let's do it. Dream big, and you're in some part of the world where like, oh yeah, like what would happen? You create land, right? Like you turn this some portion of this desert into green paradise, right? And it's like, you know, it requires a whole different way of thinking. Like you can't this world of greed and these all these people in charge who are betrayers to our world, betrayers to humanity, betrayers to our beautiful natural world. You know that it's beyond their comprehension. It can't fit, the balance sheet. Like, oh, they got to pay, and like everything, the financing. You need a whole different village cooperative type of structure. I'm not saying like I don't know how that would be structured. That would be something that would be a good thing to kind of discuss or try to obviously figure out, right? Because you're not going to have like you can't have it like locked up and controlled by some small set of absolutely incompetent government retards. Which yeah, oh yeah, oh I'm sorry, you work for the government, you're part of a great government institution. Realize you're the institutionalized. Okay, government is the worst currently today. It's the most danger, the 10 most dangerous words in the English language. Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. What a joke you guys are. Anyway, so I mean, and so many parts of the world, like down here in Chile, this area is like the Atacama Desert, right? Like less than an inch of rain, and so uh, these parts of the world here, Saudi Arabia, I think Saudi Arabia, you guys have like water desalination plants, right? Like all this, you're actually burning the oil to generate electricity and have these massive plants so you can desalinate the ocean water. Why not just boil the water and you get clean steam coming up and you could green the whole desert, you know, say west, anywhere off the coast of the ocean, anywhere. And it's like, oh no, you're crazy. No, you're crazy for not looking at it. You say I'm like stupid. Do the physics, do the math. I know it's possible. Of course it is. It's just more mirrors. How hard is that? Oh no, no. Yeah, exactly. All right. Hope you can. All for now. Have a good one. Take care.